This episode of Faith and Finance is brought to you by Adelphi Christian Banking, the trusted team you've known as Christian Community Credit Union. Hey everyone, Rob West here. A common question I get is, how can I align my faith with my banking? Well, we recommend Adelphi Christian Banking for services rooted in biblical values and a commitment to helping you steward your finances with purpose. FaithFi listeners can earn up to a $400 bonus when opening a qualifying high-yield checking, savings, or Visa cashback card using code FaithFi. Adelphi also offers a high-yield money market with a competitive rate on balances up to $100,000, all while your deposits support ministries and Christian causes. Visit faithfi.com/banking and use the code FaithFi. Membership eligibility required. Accounts are privately insured up to $250,000 by American Share Insurance. This institution is not federally insured. Credit card fees rarely wreck a budget all at once. Hi, I'm Rob West. From interest and late charges to annual fees and cash advances, the cost of using credit can add up quickly. Today we'll look at how to avoid those costs and make sure the cards you use are serving your financial plan, not working against it. And then it's on to your calls at 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial decisions. Proverbs 21:20 says, "Precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it." That doesn't mean we hoard what God provides. It means wisdom pays attention. Good stewardship includes knowing where our money is going and refusing to let avoidable costs quietly consume resources God has entrusted to us. So let's start with the biggest cost of credit cards: interest. Technically, interest isn't a fee, but for anyone carrying a balance, it's usually far more expensive than the fees we're about to discuss. According to the Federal Reserve, the average interest rate on credit card accounts being charged interest is currently just over 22%. At rates like that, reward points and cashback offers lose their shine quickly. The best practice is simple: don't charge what you can't pay off when the bill comes due. If you're already carrying a balance, consider putting the card away while you work on a plan to eliminate the debt. Next are late fees. The amount varies by issuer, so review your card's terms and know your due date. Set up payment alerts or automatic payments. At minimum, automate the required payment so an overlooked date doesn't create another expense. Then, pay the full statement balance each month to avoid interest. Just make sure there's enough in checking when that payment hits. A return payment can bring another fee, and possibly a bank fee as well. Keeping a small cushion in checking can help protect you. Then there are annual fees. Some cards charge nothing. Others charge hundreds of dollars in exchange for travel benefits, rewards, and other perks. Generally, we'd encourage you to avoid cards with annual fees altogether. The rewards often don't justify the cost, and chasing points or cash back can tempt you to spend more than you otherwise would. That's one reason we appreciate Adelphi Christian Banking, formed through the merger of Christian Community Credit Union and Adelphi Credit Union. As America's #1 biblical banking solution with 130 years of combined experience, they continue to provide purpose-driven financial solutions that empower you to live, give, and create lasting kingdom impact. Since 1995, Adelphi members' card activity has generated over $6.9 million for Christian causes. For responsible credit users, it's a great way to align financial tools with your values. You can learn more at faithfi.com/banking. That's faithfi.com/banking. Also, be especially cautious with cash advances. They can come with an upfront fee, and interest often begins accruing right away. That's an expensive way to solve a cash flow problem. A better long-term solution is to build margin. A starter emergency fund first, then a larger reserve over time, so an unexpected expense doesn't force you to borrow at credit card rates. Foreign transaction fees are another cost to watch if you travel internationally or make international purchases. Some cards charge a percentage of the transaction, others don't. Check before you travel so there are no surprises. And finally, review your statement every month. Look for fees, subscriptions, or charges you don't recognize. That simple habit helps you stay engaged with your financial life. Here's the larger principle. A credit card should be a tool, never a master. If using one consistently leads to interest, fees, or overspending, the wisest move may be to stop using it. There's no spiritual virtue in having a credit card, and there's no shame in using cash or debit if that helps you steward faithfully. Faithfulness often shows up in small decisions, paying on time, avoiding unnecessary costs, living within God's provision, and directing more of what He has entrusted to us toward His purposes. So take a few minutes this week and review your credit cards. Know what they cost, know why you have them, and make sure they're serving your plan, not quietly shaping it. And if you're looking for a financial institution that shares your Christian values, consider our friends at Adelphi Christian Banking. FaithFi listeners can earn up to a $400 bonus when opening a qualifying high-yield checking or savings account or a Cash Rewards Visa credit account. To learn more, just go to faithfi.com/banking and enter the code FaithFi. That's faithfi.com/banking and use the code FaithFi. All right, your calls are next. 800-525-7000. We'll be right back.
What we do is very special and it's very unique.
This is Bethany. She is a certified Kingdom advisor.
I became a CKA because we're not building bigger barns and we're not trying to figure out how can we just amass more and more and more. We're figuring out how much do you really need? What are your priorities? What has God called you to? And then how can we give it away? How can we be more generous?
You can find an advisor like Bethany at findacka.com.
We are grateful for support from Timothy Plan. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has shared good news with investors and advisors by offering faith-honoring mutual funds and exchange-traded funds. More information is at timothyplan.com. The investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses are contained in the prospectus and summary prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Limited and ETFs distributed by Foreside Funds Services, LLC. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.
Well, each day we gather together on this program to make much of God and to talk about our role in managing His resources. We're stewards. You and I, we don't own anything. God owns everything, and that's a game changer in terms of our money management. Our goal, well done, good and faithful servant. Faithful management of God's resources over a lifetime. Now, we're all going to make mistakes along the way, and we put that at the foot of the cross. God is in the business of restoration, but we surrender. We hold it loosely. And yes, we choose contentment. We find contentment in Christ, not money. And when we do, when He is our ultimate treasure, well, we live within His provision. It doesn't mean we don't try to get a raise and improve our situation and earn a little bit more, because remember, part of God's design for the money He's entrusted to us is our enjoyment. That's not a bad thing. This is not about necessarily choosing to go without. It's really understanding that it's the glorification of God. Bringing God glory through our money management is our ultimate goal. And wow, what a powerful opportunity we have when we give to the causes on the heart of God, when we invest strategically to promote human flourishing and to create a virtuous cycle of economic expansion and flourishing and giving back to the Lord that created all of us. That's the big picture we want to paint each day and encourage you in as you join us on this broadcast. And so let's do that together, and we'd love to hear from you with your questions today. Anything going on in your financial life, whether it's you want to talk about paying off debt, giving wisely, investing for the future. What about gold? Should you have an allocation of gold in your portfolio? Any of those questions and more. 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. Let's dive in today. We're going to begin in Chicago, and we'll talk to Judith. Go right ahead.
Rob, I have some investments in an investment company, and I don't know anything about tax planning. So now I'm finding that I'm paying a lot of taxes at the end of every year, and I don't have any 401ks or what's that other one? Oh, can't remember. Anyway,
an IRA, maybe?
Yeah, IRA. They have me in some mutual funds. I have some CDs, some online bank accounts, and I'm finding that they seem to sell and buy too much, so that I've done pretty well, but in the last several years I'm just paying too many taxes, and I know nothing. I never learned anything about tax planning. Can you direct me to somebody or some place that I can talk to and have them help me with the tax planning?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that could really benefit you here, Judith. Having that CPA or tax professional that can review why you're paying so much in taxes and identify opportunities you might be missing. And there's an opportunity to coordinate the investments and the taxes. And so you want to make sure that your financial advisor is considering the tax implications of the investment decisions that are being made. Many people have good investments, but poor tax coordination. And, that can look like using something called tax loss harvesting in a taxable investment account where you're offsetting gains with losses and you have an intentional strategy there. You can hold investments long enough to qualify for the lower long-term capital gains rates, which come by owning an investment at least a year before they're sold. You can look at tax inefficient investments, things like, taxable bonds. And, you could look at things like that. You can also do, once you're 70 and a half, if you're not there yet, you could look at something called a qualified charitable distribution, although I think you said you don't have an IRA, so that would not apply. So those are the kinds of things you would want to look at. And if there's an advisor involved in this, I think just having that conversation and making sure that advisor is working alongside your tax professional so there's good coordination here. So you have an advisor, but you don't have someone who is actively working with you on tax planning. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and I have talked to my investor, and he doesn't really he just does what I tell him, which I don't really know exactly what to tell him, but I tell him, I think the mutual funds you have me in are buying and selling too often. So then he'll say, okay, well, I'll work on that. But, he really doesn't seem to have any help as far as tax planning. So I think I need someone in addition to that person, because he will do what I ask him, but I don't know what.
Yeah, so, and that doesn't sound like a great scenario. I mean, I don't want to automatically assume this is not the right fit for you, but a good financial advisor should absolutely be thinking about the taxes as a part of your overall financial plan, and that could include tax-efficient investments, again, being mindful of capital gains, using strategies like tax loss harvesting that I mentioned. So, although they may not be licensed tax professionals and don't prepare returns, they typically will think about the tax implications and then at the very least be in coordination with your CPA, but, should still be tax aware and considering the tax consequences of investment decisions. It sounds like in your situation, and maybe this is the way it was designed originally. I'm not saying this advisor is doing anything wrong, but it sounds like you're making most of the decisions here and directing it rather than the advisor telling you how it should be done in light of your goals and objectives, but really leading the way in both the investment side and the tax side. So I think you've got a couple of options. If you have a long-standing relationship that you're happy with, and this is a trusted advisor that you want to continue doing business with, great. We need to bring a tax professional to the relationship that can coordinate with the advisor. If you're open to a change, perhaps there's an advisor, who could be a little more proactive, and maybe you would benefit by somebody who, could bring a little more intentionality to the relationship rather than just being reactive, instead being more proactive. And if you wanted to consider a change, I would probably look for a certified Kingdom advisor there in Chicago. You could go to findacka.com. And there's a ton of CKAs that are amazing right there in Chicago. So that would be the second option. Does that all make sense, though?
Yes, but the Kingdom advisor, what would he be doing, or she? I mean,
Yeah, well, it just depends on what you want. There's certified kingdom advisors in the investment space. There's others that are just purely financial planners. There's yet a third category where, they do both the investment management and the financial planning. I guess what I'm just saying is I hear you saying that your advisor is being more reactive to what you're directing. And if you want an advisor who's a little more proactive that could do the financial planning and the investments, but really with an eye toward the tax planning without you having to tell the advisor what to do, that is available. That's in fact what most advisors do. And so if a change was required to get that, that's where you may want to look at some other alternatives. Otherwise, if you're happy with your advisor, maybe you just engage a tax professional separately and then just have the two coordinate together. So you'd only want to look at a CKA to replace your current advisor if you felt like there was more you wanted out of the relationship and you were not happy with what you were getting currently. Judith, I hope that helps. We appreciate your call today. God bless you. We're going to take a quick break, folks. Back with more after this. Looks like we have two lines open, 800-525-7000, encouraging you, taking you back to God's Word and helping you make financial decisions in light of biblical wisdom. That's what we do on this program each day. I'm Rob West. Stick around. A lot more to come just around the corner.
As the leading advocate for the Christian financial industry, Kingdom Advisors serves the public by promoting the integration of a biblical worldview across every aspect of the financial services industry. And we serve a growing network of thousands of Christian financial professionals, equipping and empowering them to carry biblical financial wisdom to their clients, peers, and community. For more information, visit kingdomadvisors.com. That's kingdomadvisors.com.
Wondering who Faith and Finance recommends as a banking partner that aligns with Christian values? It's Adelphi Christian Banking, the trusted team you've known as Christian Community Credit Union. With high-yield checking, savings, Visa cashback cards, and a competitive money market account, your everyday banking helps advance the gospel. Visit faithfi.com/banking and use the code FAITHFI. Membership eligibility required. Accounts are privately insured up to $250,000. This institution is not federally insured.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance. I'm Rob West. We're taking your calls and questions today, 800-525-7000. You can call right now. Let's go to Florida. Marie, how can we help?
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
How does one start investing at age 67?
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your situation. So it's sounding like maybe you don't have any retirement plan to speak of?
Correct. But I am debt-free.
Okay.
I have a good income, and I have about $97,000 between emergency fund savings and checking.
Wow. Well done. That's great. Do you have access to a retirement plan at work?
No.
Okay. Do you work full-time?
Yes.
All right. And are you single or married?
Married.
Okay. And does your husband have a retirement plan?
No, we don't have.
Okay. But is there one available if he wanted to participate in it, or your businesses don't make one available?
The businesses do not make it available, yes.
I see. Okay. And are you all self-employed, or do you get paid by W-2 employees?
We get W-2.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, let's just celebrate the fact that you're debt-free. That's amazing. Let's celebrate the fact that you've got a lot of margin. You've got a lot of cushion in your emergency savings, $90,000, probably a little more than you need. We need to get some of that working for you, but you don't have any retirement investments. And so the focus should be on, preserving your purchasing power, which means we have to take what God has entrusted to you and grow it for the future, but without taking excessive risk. I think, at 67, the goal isn't to hit a home run with your investments. It's to build a portfolio that can grow over time, leveraging the nice income that you have right now for the remaining working years that you have, so that someday that nest egg that we can put aside can provide income and keep pace with inflation. because you're still working, you could contribute, each of you, to an IRA, an individual retirement account, and you could put in each $8,600 into, let's say, a Roth, which is a kind of IRA, a Roth IRA. You have to have at least that amount of earned income, and you're not able to put in more than $8,600. But given that you're 50 or older, you could put in up to $8,600. So, what I would do is look at least doing that. I mean, between the two of you with two different Roths, that'd be $17,200. And then you'd want to get that invested. And then I think you could take whatever portion of the $90,000 that is not considered your emergency fund and put that to work as well. And then over time, we can add that, to the Roth IRA as you're able. You're going to have to wait until the next tax year. But as soon as January rolls around, you can make another contribution. In terms of the emergency fund, what do you all typically spend on a monthly basis?
Well, I give a lot.
Okay.
So,
but I'm just saying your expenses, not including your giving necessarily. Because if something happened that was a major calamity, you could curb, you could temporarily suspend your giving. But what are your monthly expenses roughly?
Maybe $1,300 a month.
Okay, let's call it $2,000, just in case. So, 6 months of expenses would be $12,000. So that would be a good goal. Let's say we wanted to get even more conservative and call it $15,000. So if you take $15,000 off of 90, that would give you $75,000 that you could invest. Plus, hopefully you fund these two Roth IRAs. And, that's going to be a great starting point. And then the key would be for you all to really, you're living very modestly. It sounds like, to your point, you're giving quite a bit. That's great. I love that. But the goal would be for you all to consistently put money away into investments that could be managed such that, you could have something that's growing over time. And the goal is to be able to supplement your Social Security. So assuming you've paid into Social Security and you'd each qualify for a Social Security retirement benefit, that was never intended to cover more than, let's say, 40% of your pre-retirement income. So we're going to need something else that could generate income to make up the difference between what Social Security does and what you all spend on a monthly basis. Now, given how modestly you're living, maybe Social Security alone, will do it. Well, if so, great. Because you don't have, a lot in retirement savings, maybe you wait and delay, your Social Security, if you haven't taken it already, until age 70, which would give you a check 25% higher than what you would get at full retirement age, which could be very helpful. If you live into your 90s, having that additional 25% on your check each month from Social Security, plus all the cost of living adjustments in the future, could be a real benefit. And then the $75,000 that's left, from the 90, that's not your emergency fund, plus whatever else you add to, let's say, these Roth IRAs I've been talking about, for between now and when you stop working, that could be money that you don't need to tap for retirement. And maybe it's just there if you all need something extra in retirement. Let's say one of you needed long-term care. You needed a nursing home for a year or two. That's what this could be for. So, we want to have as much guaranteed income as possible, and then we want to have the nest egg to fall back on if you need it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but what I was thinking, my husband would not take retirement anytime, maybe till his 80s, depending on his health, and take my retirement Social Security amount and use that directly to do investment.
Yeah, the challenge with that is, it's not a bad idea, but if you're healthy, then you're going to get a guaranteed 8% a year increase in your Social Security by waiting. And you're not going to find a guaranteed 8% in the market. So if you take that and invest it, hoping to get 8%, maybe you'll do more, but there's not a guarantee. You might lose something. Whereas if you delay the Social Security because you don't need it, because you and he are going to continue to work and you're living so modestly, that guaranteed 8% that the Social Security Administration is going to give you for every year you wait beyond full retirement age up to age 70 is a pretty nice benefit, especially for somebody in your situation where you don't have a lot of retirement assets. So getting that monthly checkup as high as you can is going to go a long way. Does that make sense?
All right. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, but it may require that you work a little bit longer than you were planning, and at the end of the day, you've got to make that call and be comfortable with that. So it's just at least something to consider as you're thinking through all of this. Hey, Marie, thank you for your call today. Listen, you're doing a great job. Well done on being debt-free and having so much savings. Now let's build a little retirement nest egg, and you guys will be in good shape. Call anytime if I can help. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Big thanks to my team today, the amazing Josh, Omar, Taylor, and Tahira, plus everybody here at FaithFi. Listen, if you love the program, one of the things you could do to help us reach more people as a listener-supported ministry is become a FaithFi partner. When you support us at $35 a month or $400 a year, we'll send you great resources. Learn more at faithfi.com/partner. We'll see you tomorrow.
Faith and Finance is provided by FaithFi and listeners like you.